Okay, so the very first step is to prime the eyes. I'm actually going to use MAC's Paintpot, and this is in soft ochre, as a base over the entire eyelid all the way to the brow. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this all the way on the inner corner of my eye, all the way to my lid, and all the way underneath my brow. Now I'm gonna wait for about 1 minute. I want to make sure that everything is like in place before I apply any type of powder to it. We do not want it to be patchy or weird. So yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in with the Naked Heat palette, and I'm gonna grab a shade called Sauced, which is right here. I think it's gorgeous. I'm going to apply this quite liberally all over the entire crease area. I really love this color. Oh my god, I love it. Do you guys see that? Like, it really warms. This is just like the perfect transition shade for me personally. I freaking adore it. I'm going to go in here with the shade He Devil. He Devil is, oh my god, fabulous. There's a reason why everyone's talking about it, because it's amazing. I'm going to start on the outer edge here. Oh, right? This is like so freaking pigmented. And then I'm going to bring it into that crease all the way over. So what I'm going to go ahead and do next is take a shade here called Cayenne. And Cayenne is kind of like a, I mean, it's still more of like a reddish brown, but it's not as red as the other colors in this palette. So I'm going to take kind of like a C brush, and I will be patting Cayenne on the very inner corner of my eyelid, all the way to my crease. Just kind of like starting off with a halo eye here. And then of course on the very outer edge too. What I'm going to go ahead and do next is take a shade in here called Lumber. Now I will be using Lumber wet, however I would suggest not using a wet brush in the palette. I did that on a few of these shades and it made them hard. And anytime I do it, I always do it at the very like corner edge, so that way I'm not like destroying the entire shadow. So please, please, please grab a brush, get some of the eyeshadow on it, and then spritz it with something. Or in this case, I'm going to use the e.l.f. Makeup Lock and Seal. I'm literally going to put one drop on the back of my hand, and I will be taking that shade Lumber on a brush first, and then patting it into the liquid, and then applying it onto my eyelid. So I'm going to pat this all over the center of my lid. I know it looks like there's some harsh edges right now just because this is so pigmented with the liquid, but I will be going in just a moment when this dries, and I'm going to kind of clean it up and make it soft. Okay, ladies and gents, this color is everything right now. It is giving me so much life that it should be illegal to have this much life on my face. I am loving it. Absolutely loving it. It's got a shift. It looks kind of like a brick rust shade of like an orange with a little bit of gold, and a hint of like, I guess, red, like a deep red. Oh, but the gold, guys, the gold, it's beautiful. So I'm gonna go back in with that C brush that I used earlier. I'm gonna grab a shade called En Fuego. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it's this shade right here. Okay guys, so this shade is very pigmented. I'm literally patting my brush into it, and then you guys will see this. I'm going to pat it on the outside. Like, I'm going to pat it onto my outer V. I'm going to be blending this all in just a little bit, but again, this is pretty pigmented. So I'm going to go back in and grab just a little bit more, and I'm going to pat that on the inner corner. What this is going to do is actually soften the edges of Lumber when we used it wet. So I'm going to take a little bit more and just kind of go above Lumber. And again, all of this is going to be blended out, so take your time. I'm gonna grab a blending brush real quick, and this is where I just kind of blend everything to soften it. And now I'm gonna go in with a highlight. So for this on the brow bone, I'm only applying it literally like right here. I'm not putting it in the inner corner of my brow. I'm just gonna kind of just highlight a small area here. So for that, I'm taking the shade called Ounce, and I'm gonna use it dry. I'm gonna grab a little bit of that, and I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of pat that right there. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and tightline, and this is gonna be really hard for me to do on camera, and I am so sorry, guys, but I will tell you what I'm using. I'm actually going to use the Kat Von D Autograph Pencil in Puro Amor. So I'm gonna go ahead and tightline my upper lash line real fast, and then I'll be right back. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my AMC eyeliner gel from Inglot. This is just a nice black, and it's super, super dark and pigmented, which is why I love it, and a little bit goes a long way. So taking an eyeliner brush here, this is a wing liner brush from Zoeva. I'm gonna grab a little bit of this, and I'm gonna take my time, but I am gonna go along that tape that I have right here to kind of create a wing. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do next is actually do my upper mascara. I always do that, and then I move on to the rest of the eye. So for that, I'm gonna use the Wet n Wild. This is the Prime and Seal like Fiber Lash Duo, which is fan-freaking-tastic and super duper cheap. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this mascara, and you guys know the drill. I'm going to coat my lashes quite heavily. Now I'm gonna go in with the fibers. Now, I know it looks kind of crazy having the fibers on my lashes, but I guarantee you guys, I promise, it's gonna go from shitty to sexy real quick. So I'm gonna go ahead and coat them again with the mascara. So next, I'm gonna go ahead and grab the shade Ounce one more time from this palette, and I'm using a very small precision brush for this. And it's not going to make a huge difference, but I am going to apply just a little bit on the inner corner of my eye. I forgot to do this earlier, so I am so sorry, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and take an e.l.f. eyeshadow stick, and it's in the shade Brown. I'm going to use the matte side of this, and I'm going to just kind of go right along my lashes. Now with this, you have to be fairly quick. So I'm going to be kind of blending this out like right now. So I'm going to take a pencil brush, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of smudge it around a little bit. So now that I have that, what I'm going to do is take the shade He Devil from this palette again, and I'm going to apply that right on top of that brown. And then I'm going to grab another shade here, and that's going to be Sauced, which is that matte shade that we used right here for our transition. Taking a little bit of that, I'm going to go ahead and go right underneath that shade. So I'm going to go ahead and take that same Kat Von D liner that I used earlier, which is just a nice black liner, and I'm going to go ahead and do my lower waterline. For the concealer, I'm going to be incredibly quick with this because this dries so freaking fast that it's ridiculous. And trust me when I say less is more. I'm going to take the Tarte Shape Tape, and I'm using the shade Light Sand. Okay guys, so we need to talk about this. When I first saw the swatches to this, I laughed. Like, I seriously said, I'm not going to freaking buy that. That looks like it's gonna be shit quality, and I'm gonna save my money. Yep, that's exactly what I said. And I'm eating my words right now. So, and yeah, I bought it and I love it. I love this palette so much more than any of my other Naked palettes. And guys, I own them all. I own them all. It's my favorite. I was not expecting that. Like I said, I am eating my words right now. I'm a little bit embarrassed that I hated on it, and then I ended up like loving it. But at least I'm being honest. I thought it was going to be terrible, just like everyone else when I saw the swatches, because they did such a shitty job. I mean, it's funny actually, like how bad it looked. It really is, and it's kind of embarrassing for them. But it ended up being an amazing product, and I am quite satisfied with this. So if you're one of those people who were in my shoes and you were like, oh man, that looks like it's going to be a crappy palette, not wasting my money, please go to Sephora, go to Ulta, just swatch it, literally. Just go and swatch it for yourself, because they did not know what the hell they were doing with that picture. You have to see it in person. You got to actually do it yourself. And it might be redeemed, you know? You never know until you try it. So anyways, that's it. I'm rambling at this point. It's really late and I'm tired. Yeah, that's just my personal opinion. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video as always, and I will see you guys in the next one.